In Houston, Wayne Odesnik has proven again to be the one American who's clay friendly. Wayne Odesnik defeating Bjorn Pauw in straight sets to reach his first ever ATP World Tour final. And now his opponent for Sunday to be determined in an intriguing matchup. Lleyton Hewitt, at age 28, trying to make one more push in his tennis career. On clay of all places, having a terrific week as he tackles Evgeny Korolev. Now Lleyton Hewitt staying in one of those beautiful private homes you just saw here in River Oaks, right outside the grounds. His wife Beck, their children are here. This now I want you to know, Jimmy Arias.
He's actually, before you finish, he's staying in an 18-room house. Just literally right next door to the courts.
Well, that's actually a contradiction in terms. 18 rooms is not a house.
Yeah, well, okay, that's where he's staying.
All right, we'll get you some breaking news hot off the wire in just a second, but Korolev is going to serve to begin our match. This breaking news today. Roger Federer and his longtime lady Mirka Vavrenek married today in Basel, Switzerland.
That is breaking news.
How about that? You thought you were playing with kids here. Come on. Marriage thing may become contagious.
Why? Who else is getting married any day now?
Maybe hearing some more about some things here coming up.
Okay. Here's a look at Korolev, the 21-year-old from Moscow, here with his brother, coached by his father early in his life. Sad thing for Korolev is so far, I know we've only played 2 points. He's played 2 pretty solid points, and he's loved 30 down.
15-30.
So look at Korolev's road to the semifinals. A couple of tough first-round matches, and then Guillermo Cañas, who beat James Blake in the first round, a former top 10 player, and Korolev got by him in a long, tough match yesterday. All of yesterday's matches were long and difficult, maybe with the exception of Hewitt.
Deuce.
Right away, when you see these two play, you don't think of clay court tennis. There's not a lot of rotation on the ball. There's not a lot of spin. They're hitting the ball pretty flat, pretty hard. Clay courters tend to like to roll the ball a little bit. You see some higher bounces.
I'm immediately just watching Lleyton's court position here in this first game, and he's not playing, 12 feet behind.
No, he's not playing clay court tennis.
He just won't yield. See, I mean, he returns the serve and then he moves in to the baseline. He's going to establish the baseline.
Korolev is a guy, by the way, that won't really, he's not going to take kindly to that. He's a guy that also wants to step up and rip the ball. He's not a clay courter, really. Doesn't have a lot of variety. You're not going to see an angle or too many slices, that kind of stuff. He's just going to load up and hit as hard as he can.
No question, just the first game, it's a completely different style.
It's a different ball than we saw.
Than the previous match.
It's incredible, actually, how much quicker the ball is traveling. But again, this is the style that Hewitt loves in general. He likes to sort of blunt your pace, redirect it. He always had the wheels, the speed to be able to do that.
Advantage Korolev.
Korolev threw enough hammers in there to hold his serve in the first game against a man in Lleyton Hewitt who is closing in on 500 match wins. He 3 shy. The only active players that are over 500 match wins are Federer and Carlos Moya, and I wasn't sure Carlos Moya was still active, but the great Pete Holterman assures me that he is. He's not played a semi on clay, Hewitt, in 2 years. And has not played in the clay court final in 10 years. Delray Beach 10 years ago.
But again, I think that's somewhat misleading because when you talk about those semifinals, one of them was Hamburg, Master Series clay court tournament where he lost to Nadal in 2007. I think Hewitt's would have been back in the day when he was 1 in the world, he would have been top 10 on clay also. It wasn't as though he was a bad clay courter. From Hewitt. A great pickup early in the point, and then I love that little short slice low. You don't see Hewitt doing that very often, but this is what Korolev doesn't like. He wants to be at the baseline ripping ground strokes, not being forced in.
Jimmy, when you see Hewitt play now, how would you grade his movement?
Well, you know what? It still seems as though he's moving beautifully. You can see how he was able to get to this semifinal. Easy, straight set wins all the way through. But obviously there's something that he's had hip surgery. But when you watch him, I don't notice it. Still seems, I'd still love to move like he's moving. Let's put it that way. I mean, he looks like he's moving great. But it's subtle in some ways. If you lose a half a step, that's a half a step that makes the difference to making a shot or not.
With the mileage he has and surgery, you have to believe he's
Right.
So he's not moving like he was when he won Wimbledon.
Right. Exactly. But like I said, he still seems to move pretty darn well.
Same thing, I think. We watched Michael Chang's career at the end, or towards the end, we were wondering the same thing. So much was relying on his legs.
You know, those styles of play, and by the way, you would put Nadal in that style of play as well. They tend to not last much past mid-20s.
So 1-1 here in the first set. Go ahead, he's waiting. Go ahead. The other part of the equation with Hewitt that I find interesting is he clearly wants it. I mean, he's been taking. I said he's been staying in the States. He played, you know, the February events, San Jose and Memphis, that a lot of guys from other parts of the world don't play.
Well, in February he was ranked 108 in the world, so he's gotten the ranking up 20 spots and. Ooh, still climbing. He's able to, as I said, he's got to be the favorite just on experience alone to win this title from this point.
There's strong play. Korolev is one of 8 Russians right now in the top 100. No Russian man has won a title yet this year. And that's a stark contrast, given how Russian women pretty much
well, they dominate the rankings, definitely, the Russian women do.
5 of the top 10. Usually he's had a
fallen
tail.
Apart, you're right.
72 is his current.
Yeah, that's surprising because I thought mentally and physically he was a beast, a bit of a beast, but he's found hard times here recently. Davydenko's had some injury issues, so he hasn't been around. Well, so far, Korolev's done a good job hanging in there on his serve. He's been under pressure both service games. I just think he's going to make a few too many errors in the end to get past Hewitt. He plays such high risk.
Yes.
And it's much easier to hit these type of shots 1-all, 2-all, 3-all. Show me at 4-all, 5-all, 6-all that you can still swing as hard as you can and make every shot. That's when I think you'll see the difference towards the end of the sets.
So we start this semi-final. Houston on serve. American Wayne Odesnik has advanced to the final, and this match to determine his opponent. Hewitt Still does work with Tony Roach, but obviously Tony Roach is not here.
He's actually got a whole entourage here. He's got his wife and 2 kids, a physio trainer, and a coach that's actually working with him here, not Tony Roach, but came to travel with him, Nathan Healy.
There just still isn't anybody in Australia unless this young man Bernard Tomic,
yeah,
is able to fulfill some of his early junior promise.
Like the 2 greatest tennis nations of the past, Australia and the U.S., are coming to difficult times right now. We've got Roddick and Blake and Odesnik. Wow, Korolev is he's improved in 3 weeks since I saw him in Delray Beach. As far as just that play, that coming into the net, that was a good, solid, stuck forehand volley. Didn't really show me any volleying skills a couple of weeks ago.
30.
Think that in the United States, at least, there's been a Sam Querrey, for example, who's come along, and James Blake and Marty Fish.
That's true. We're still hanging in there.
Australia, there hasn't been anybody.
You're right. Sort of been going that way for a while, Australia. It seems as though they've always had one. Pat Cash, then Rafter, then Hewitt, Philippoussis.
So Korolev early on, hanging on serve with Hewitt.
Hewitt, who deflected the big power return, could have looked at his wife Beck. Very happy with the way Leighton played that point.
Been a very successful actress in Australia now, mother of 2. But Jimmy, what is this? What you can feel? You lived through it. You were a top 5 player, and one point, you know, when you've been a champion, you've been at the top, and now you get humbled a little bit, and you're trying to rebuild.
Yeah, but
game.
You know what? Normally, it's impossible to do. It's difficult to do. You can't regain that swagger. you had.
That's where I was going exactly. I mean, he's probably not going to be a champion again either. But
no, probably not. But he's still. But you know what? He has to believe he can. That's why he's here. Okay. That's why he's fighting. He thinks he can.
You did that all the way through with you always thought that you could?
I was always hoping. I don't know that I thought. At some point I realized it's not happening any longer. That's sort of the beginning of the real end.
But that's
you actually get accustomed to losing. That's when you're in trouble.
Well, that is exactly.
When you get your
right. But I would think exactly what you talked about. Now you've got a wife and family, and suddenly you look across and the guy on the other side of the net doesn't fear you anymore, right?
Exactly. That's part of the problem. What's funny about Hewitt, that you got to give him credit. He still seems to have that competitive fire. He still wants it. He's got a wife and 2 kids now, but you don't see it. It seems very important to him, this tennis, this match.
Yes.
I guess people will wonder if what could have happened for Leighton Hewitt had he not spent a lot of energy and time in what seemed to be a ridiculous lawsuit over doing an interview. And when he was still able to compete as a top 10 player.
Yeah. 3 games off.
Andreev,
who was trying to be the first Russian to win a title this year. We talked about that earlier. Andreev won't be him. The only one now with a chance to win a title this year, Russian, is Korolev, the man we're watching. Part of the thing, when we were talking about that swagger, that fear that players have playing against you, one of the things about Hewitt is that he won a lot of matches that were pretty tight, but he had that swagger and the player had that fear. When you lose that, suddenly when it's close and it's 5-all, your opponent's not thinking, oh, this is going to be a big win if I can get through this match against Hewitt. It's not quite the same panache, that win, so you're not going to get as tight. You're not going to have your opponent maybe missing a few shots at key times. Having said that, I'm just waiting for Korolev to fade here in this match at the end of the set. I just feel as though Hewitt's too solid for Korolev. Korolev is too risky with the way he plays, and so feels to me as it's a matter of time before Hewitt finds a way to get a break.
Yeah, it appears, would you say that really Korolev and maybe even Hewitt, they make no concession to the surface?
No,
they're playing their game.
Exactly. That is exactly right. One thing though about Hewitt, we were talking earlier, the other semifinal we watched, Odesnik, who has won a lot of clay court matches, not sliding well. Hewitt actually does. Take a look at Hewitt's footwork as the points go on, and he will slide into the shot, hit it, and then get back into position. Not hit it and then slide, which is what so many Americans do.
Big game again from Korolev. On serve in the first set. Well, Leighton Hewitt and Evgeny Korolev here in the semifinal of the U.S. Men's Clay Court Championships. James Blake, finals here last year, out in first round, or first match rather this year. Marty Fish, same fate.
They teamed up and almost made the finals as doubles. Korolev is showing me something today. Every time I've seen him, he's had moments of brilliance. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel as though he can't keep that brilliance going. He's kept it going through the first 3 quarters of this set, and now he's got some pressure for the first time on the Hewitt serve. Dangerous getting those expensive seats in the front box there. A couple of times now I've seen good serves out wide that have been mishit into the stands.
What a great place. You talk about as fine a seat as probably get any place outside of center court in Wimbledon. Sit down there and you're that close to play.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's where I guess the problem I have with Korolev is what you just saw in that return. Good first serve, but not unreturnable. And instead of saying, I'm going to put that one back in play and play a rally, he goes for a clean winner, missed by 100 feet. There's certain shots you can't hit a winner off of.
I heard almost like a half a come on there, didn't I?
He muffled it, but he definitely was feeling a come on there.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I kind of miss that. I have to tell you, I do miss that. Right? We've got Monte Carlo Rolex Masters coming up Monday morning here on Tennis Channel, and Federer is going to spend his honeymoon in Monte Carlo. Shouldn't we all?
Yeah, not a bad place to go.
And with Roger taking a wild card, Leighton Hewitt also took a wild card there, but with Federer taking a wild card there, the big hitters are all there. The top 10 will all be there except Andy Roddick. That's going to start off a terrific month of clay leading on the road to Roland Garros. New event this year in Madrid, which will be a combination event, men and women together for a week on the clay.
30-15.
This was a pretty big inside out for him. Very flat. That's the one thing that contrasts most clay court matches that you see. There's not a lot of heavy topspin being hit from either of these two guys.
43.
I hate that shot that Korolev just hit, just because it was so...
I'm sitting there shaking my head too.
Just wind up and give it the biggest rip you can at all times. Never try to first get your opponent a little out of position before you do. But I'll tell you, when he's on, he hits them in. They're winners.
Here we are marching on.
Korolev leads 5
No
games.
real threats to either serve in the first set.
Time.
On serve in the first set of this ATP World Tour singles semi. And there's a look at what's happening on the tour so far this year and Murray's 3 titles. Well, where would you put Murray right now? Jimmy, in the 2. Jimmy Arias rankings?
I think 2.
You're 2, okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you put Roddick right now?
Maybe.
Interesting question.
Yeah, no, I guess 5 for Roddick. He's played great, and you can see his record on the year is tied with the most wins.
The clay court season to me will be intriguing for Murray because it's the one surface he has yet to post results. So you would say maybe number 2 in the world, but he's not number 2 on clay.
No, he's not number 2 on clay. You're right, and maybe at that point one of the other, Federer or Djokovic will move ahead of him in my rankings. As you see a great serve and volley, that shows you that in some ways he hasn't lost much of a step. He hit that first volley well inside the service line.
30 love.
It's actually a great volleyer, Leighton Hewitt, for a guy that you think of as a counter puncher, as a baseliner.
Yeah. Yet Wimbledon changed in our era the year he won it, when he just stood on that baseline.
I think that year was when the grass got different.
Also, the year changed, exactly. Yeah. 2002, after the after Ivanisevic final the previous year.
And they changed it 10 or 15 years earlier, I would have played Wimbledon a few more times. But it was such a fast, low, bouncing thing that it was...
I only detected a slight bitterness in that.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have been able to play it and have the ball bounce. Yeah. Which it now obviously does. It's always baseliners.
All here, so excuse me, my mistake. 40-15.
And this is take a look at. He missed the one before, but this is clay court movement from Leighton Hewitt that you saw on the first point here, running wide and sliding into the forehand and slicing on the first shot. He was on the defensive that entire point, but did a good job scrambling.
Good first serve to hold, so we're at 5 all.
5 games all.
So there's how it's played out. Quarterfinals yesterday, 3 of the 4 were intense matches.
All top 8 seeds were gone by the quarterfinals. No seeds left in the tournament, although we had some big names. Kanyes, who was former top 10, Hewitt, former number 1, Tommy Haas, former number 2 in the world. Out of all those names, well, Odesnik is in the final, waiting for the winner of this. That was a bad error from Hewitt. I've been saying I know that Korolev can hit some winners at 1-all and 2-all. Let's see him do it under the pressure of the score later in the set when the score adds a little extra pressure. Hewitt didn't allow him to get tight in that point as he made the error first. There's just no holding back when you're Korolev. He just ropes that forehand. Great slide and stick save from Hewitt. And then nearly coming up with that backhand pass.
This is my first time seeing Korolev play, and I can see now if you're a catcher, you only have to put down one finger.
Yes, exactly right. That's exactly right.
He's got one pitch.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Can you hit it? That's the question. Can you get it back in play enough times for him to miss? Because it is a high-risk style. Can you make him feel uncomfortable? That's the other part. If you can hit shots, a guy like Federer you would think would chop Korolev up with short low balls and then maybe a heavy roller, something to get him out of his groove. The one problem for Hewitt is he does hit a nice ball to hit. Doesn't have a ton of spin, and it kind of comes in the strike zone a little bit.
So Korolev with an ace, and we're set now. Gets pushed to its final act coming up. Boy, how about this great traditional tennis stadium? Two, or actually three sides of it are permanent seating. All the sections you're looking at, and on the right, that's a temporary setting that comes up. And there's another court actually underneath those stands. Little irrigation. They've got some pipes that run underneath the clay. A change from the days when Jimmy Arias dominated here.
Yeah, they didn't have that system then. You had to water the court with sprinklers from the top. Now it's constantly watered from underneath. But I think it's gotten heavier. The conditions here have gotten slower and heavier with that new surface.
And there's another answer for Hewitt to the question of can he still move?
Yeah, like I said, it's hard to see, isn't it, that there's any difference. That was a great move. Forward, had to come up with a tough low volley.
This after hip surgery, which we're not doctors, but that hasn't been kind to
other players.
You know, Guga most recently, Magnus Norman,
You're right.
finalist at the French Open. Hip ended his career prematurely.
Out of those three names you just mentioned, the one that relied on their legs the most was Hewitt. Guga would serve big and rip ground strokes, wasn't really scrambling that much.
Breeze is kicked up here in the beginning part of this match.
Make an excuse for that double fall?
No, I don't know. I'm just wondering how much. It's the one thing. It's cool today.
Yeah, it is.
And that's the conditions for the players are better except for the wind. Well, Hewitt rebounds and pushes this to a tiebreak. Humidity is often an issue in this part of the country, not today.
No, and I think the wind, one of the things that's nice about this stadium is it's pretty well protected from the wind. The court, down low on the court, is not really affecting them too much from what I've seen. That sounded good more than looked good. I see the mark. Yeah, it just missed. That is the right mark. Come on mode. He just doesn't let it quite out so everyone in the stadium can hear it any longer. But 2 shots in a row where he's looked over at his box. Korolev, I've been waiting for him to make a spate of unforced errors. It's started so far in this tiebreak. The first 2 points, 2 errors. Missed when I saw it, but I'm missing. Well, good thing I'm not calling lines.
Yeah, Hewitt took a look and peeled away. Korolev was dribbling his racket there a minute ago. Now he's
it's an all or nothing guy, and he went for it all on that return and found a piece of the line apparently. Surprised I've seen a few backhand errors from here. That's normally such a solid, consistent stroke. He wasn't trying to do anything with that backhand. He was just rallying. I think Hewitt plays that style, and he will wear Korolev out. He doesn't have to go for it. Just put it down the center and run. And it would be too much for Korolev. In this rally, off the return, Hewitt had fallen down. Did a good job getting back up, getting back in the point, and eventually coaxing that error out of Korolev.
And that's Hewitt.
Yeah, that's what he needs to do in this match.
But if you hear a little come on and you see the fist pump, Well, was waiting for Steve Ulrich.
You know what? I think Steve Ulrich just told him that's a lucky one.
Yeah.
Because it didn't, you know, that could have gone anywhere off the bounce, and it stayed kind of low. Ended up bouncing into the umpire's chair, but that was one that Ulrich could easily have warned him. Had not been out of line.
Suppose it skips like that and hits a ball boy.
Well, that's why I think Steve Ulrich said that was a lucky one. It could have gone exactly. Could have gone anywhere in the stands. He doesn't mess around when he makes an error. Korolev, sometimes he can spy a mile. Great serve, a good stab, but that ball did hit the line, and I think it made a little bit of a move, skidded a little quicker. Actually, he hits that shot pretty well.
That's a great shot.
He does have that shot. He doesn't use it often.
Right.
And I think that's part of the reason why it's so effective when he does hit it. Because he hits so hard, you're a little bit on your heels. And that drop shot would be open to him.
Absolutely. But it may well have been too late. At least here. More set points for Hewitt.
Second serve of Hewitt's to me, I haven't had a lot of confidence in it, to tell you the truth, the last few years. It doesn't have as much kick as a lot of guys. It doesn't go as high over the net. It's a little bit slice, a little less margin for error.
Hewitt put away that second serve return. And Leighton Hewitt, oh boy, trying to reach a final for the first time in 2 years. And this former world #1 pushed to a tie break, but takes the first set in Houston.
This is where you would think Hewitt would try to really put the squeeze on Korolev from a mental standpoint. He's just lost a tough, almost hour-long first set. He's got to keep the momentum going, keep putting the ball in play, let Korolev know if he's going to win, it's going to take a long time. Korolev is quick enough that he doesn't have to do that, what you just saw there. He was off the court a little bit, and he said, I'm ending the point with this shot one way or the other. Instead of once in a while, let me roll that up high with some spin and start the point over.
Game Hewitt.
You get a feeling whatever happens here is going to happen fast.
Now in the first set, we had some serve and volleys coming from Leighton Hewitt at different times. He was working his way up to the net, showing you some great feel when he gets up there, and great movement as well. He's always been an underrated volleyer to me, but that was classic serve and volley, what you just saw there. Served out wide, got in tight, punched that volley into the open court. And this was a delayed sort of sneak in. He realized that forehand was a good forehand. That inside-out forehand right here. And then he said, whoa, it's good, I'm coming in. Came up with a beautifully touched backhand volley.
Would any of that be, Jimmy, would you read into that at all? Hewitt saying at this point he can't grind every point out?
No, I just think it's the way he played those couple of points. I think in this, he looks physically and mentally. I like the way he looks out here. He's fighting, he's wanting it, he's moving well. He's making a few errors that he doesn't enjoy, like the one you just saw, second serve return.
Taylor Dent serving volley out here?
You know what? I didn't see the first couple of rounds.
I didn't either.
But yes, the answer would be yes. I don't see him staying back and grinding out matches. That's not his style. And you know what? I'm sure John Isner was coming in quite a bit as well, and he made the quarterfinals. See, this is two second serve return errors from Hewitt when he's got some momentum. This is when normally you would think Hewitt would really put his foot down and try to end the match. Instead, he's allowed Korolev what seems to be a comfortable hold.
One game off.
So look at Tommy Ho, a former ATP player. He was actually a sort of a phenom, a teenage phenom. He came on very young. I think he might be the youngest guy ever to get ATP points.
One more. Is that right?
I'm not 100% sure that's right, but
good.
I know that as a young kid, he was hyped and was very good.
Serves on the board of directors for the USTA.
What's funny to me is that Hewitt seems almost the more uptight one of the two. It's been longer since he's been in a final than Korolev, so it's almost as if he's not sure of himself. That wasn't a point. He just gave a look over his box with a fist pump. It's 15-love, 1-all. It's not that big of a point to be that excited about, in other words.
You reference, I mean, here's a guy he played last year all the way through the Olympics, but there wasn't a whole lot of confidence in his game. He never made it past the quarters last year.
Yeah, there comes a time, and it happens quickly, by the way, where you're not sure if you still can get it done. And this, Obviously, he wants this final and this title badly.
Yeah!
There you go.
And it looks as though he's feeling the pressure in some ways. More guy that's won titles for 10 years in a row and third most singles wins.
Yeah!
There you go.
And that's where Korolev has to sense it, doesn't he? That his opponent's a little tight and maybe not go for a 300-mile-an-hour shot on the first ball. Give a free point just at the wrong time.
And it's exaggerated for Korolev because then he comes back and plays a point like that.
Well, what it shows is Korolev does have shots, doesn't he? This
Yes.
was an angle to open up the court. Why doesn't he hit a few more of those in his... Somehow, it's almost as if the computer says, go for a winner on every ball, and that's it. That's the only thing that's in the computer. He's got to figure out a way to add the shots that he does have. He showed you a nice touch on a drop shot earlier, one that he hit during the match, but there's not a lot of variety.
And that is Hewitt.
So the hold
New balls.
for Hewitt for on serve in the second set.
Hewitt leads 2-1.
Well, there'll be an American playing for the championship here. Wayne Odesnik is in his first ATP final. Leighton Hewitt, who's shockingly now has been just over 2 years since he last played in a final, which was Las Vegas of 2007. Hewitt's a set from reaching one here.
Take a look at this backhand mistake. His body really got a little off balance on that backhand, and it still wasn't willing to slow it down and try to put it in play. Sometimes when you don't have your feet underneath and your body in the perfect position, you can't try to go for a winner. From Korolev that time. Congratulations. He saw Hewitt had decided, you know what, I'm going into push mode. He's so far behind the baseline here, Hewitt. And Korolev saw it and immediately went with the drop shot. It didn't have to make it that good.
That's two.
30-15.
Do you sense, Jimmy, that if here's a 21-year-old, so we have to frame it in that regard. When you hit a ball as well as he can, you start having that almost sense you're bulletproof.
an erroneous sense from him. That's the problem. Is he does miss, and you just saw him there on this overhead. Had a long time to think about this overhead. Now painting the line with his first serve. He was taking a look, but I think he's going to turn around in a second. I think. Steve already down, but I don't even see a mark. I like when you argue with the lines, but no, it's not touching. Sometimes it's a full mark.
Absolutely, right? We see how many in the replay system are where it's the fuzz of the ball that appears to have made contact. Let go there by Korolev, 2-all.
Korolev, to me, has the look of someone that learned how to play from a ball machine or someone feeding. So you just feed, or you hit a million balls as hard as you can in that situation. You get the ball fed to you and you're banging it, but hasn't played points, hasn't constructed points and found ways to win in that scenario. So he looks great, hits great winners, but sometimes doesn't play the point as intelligently as he should or could.
Well, we're starting. The road to Roland Garros is beginning this week. Here with 1 week of clay court play in the United States, and then the tennis world really shifts to Europe. I guess Leighton Hewitt's got to hope he doesn't get a Monday match in Monte Carlo.
Yeah, I think he's probably safe on that.
Hewitt accepting a wild card to play in Monte Carlo, a Masters that begins Monday. Good hold. A hold of love for Hewitt.
Hewitt leads 3-2.
Now Leighton Hewitt's in an interesting battle here with Evgeny Korolev. All right, teacher Arias.
All right, well, let's take a look at the short forehand from Leighton Hewitt. He's normally a guy that likes to hit the ball flat, but watch how he starts with the racket head up high and pointed up. But now he'll get a little momentum. The racket head drops below the ball and then whips up and over, up and across to get that spin. You can't hit the ball flat from no man's land, which is where he was. You've got to lift the ball up over the net, put some spin, some rotation on it. Hewitt did it well at that point. Korolev, I think, in his match with Kanyas in the quarterfinals, many breaks of serve in that match.
He broke 6 times.
No breaks yet in this match. That ball is almost worth a look from Hewitt, but he's not finding a mark.
New balls introduced in a couple of easier service games since. Just to get Steve Ulrich down from the chair.
Yeah, he's been...
First serve.
It was overruled by Ulrich. Play from Hewitt. I wish he would mix it up a little bit more like that.
There's a slice,
yeah.
two whacks, and another slice.
Another slice. You got to keep Korolev sort of off balance because he's not going to slow up his swing. But if you keep it in his wheelhouse, as he's proven today, he's very dangerous.
Don't be a ball machine, right?
Exactly. That's obviously where he learned how to play, on those ball machines.
I never saw him play, but I'm envisioning that in his stellar career at the University of California, our producer Harold Heck played a lot like Korolev.
You know what?
All out.
I think,
just wailed on him.
Absolutely. He admits it. Doesn't work because Hewitt did give him a couple of different looks there. Hit the ball with a little more topspin a couple times. Threw in the slice. Korolev handled it well on each occasion, including off this deep slice. That ball a little too short.
Yep.
Did look long.
It's definitely long. Yep. Korolev, right play there, stopped, and when I can see it, it's got to be long.
It's long. Yeah.
It's a clay court battle where each man has held serve 9 times in a row.
Well, as you said early on, this doesn't matter what the surface is for these two. They're going to play the same style of play, and that's, you don't really see in a clay court battle. It just happens to be a match played on clay. They're hitting the ball flatter than clay quarters generally do. We've seen some serve and volley from Hewitt. We've seen a couple of aggressive shots like this one. It seems as though if you can get it to about 6 shots in a rally against Korolev, you've got him. He's not lasting much more. He gets a little impatient once you.
Yeah, you're right. You've got
pitch count gets up,
or he occasionally will get you because he's going to go for it. Right.
Right. Exactly. He's going to go for it. He's going to try to end the point at that stage.
So still a perfect match on serve.
Hewitt leads 4-3.
Now here's one of the true veterans of the sport right now, closing in on 500 career match wins, and Lleyton Hewitt hoping to reach a final where he'd meet an American, Wayne Odesnik, who's never played in an ATP Tour final. He's been around a long time. Hewitt's thinking, okay, got to get at least one break today.
Yeah,
this would be a good time.
He's been breaking serve all week. He gets a little fortunate here. That ball skipped off the line, set up that inside-out winner. The way Korolev plays, he usually throws in one shocking service game a set or so. He hasn't done that all match. Hewitt, I'd be thinking, let's just put the ball in play this game. Push, run, stand 15 feet behind the baseline, get it in, and see if Korolev can hit 4 winners by. You know he's going to try to. Love 30 down and under severe pressure here.
Well, he's 3 errors by him, and now 3 match points. There's a sudden ending to what had been a fairly close match.
7-6.
First break of serve of the match, and it cost Korolev the match. Lleyton Hewitt into the finals for the first time in a couple of years now. He's been fighting since his hip surgery in August of last year to get back to a final, to get his name back on a plaque here as a winner. He's pretty close at the U.S. clay courts. Interesting in the sense that it comes on a clay court, his first final in 3 years, as that has not been his favorite surface over the years. But nonetheless, Hewitt is back in a final.
So our matchup indeed will be Lleyton Hewitt, former world #1, against Wayne Odesnik, who tomorrow will play in his first career final.
And you got to favor Hewitt from just standpoint of experience, obviously, but Odesnik, I like the way he's playing. It's going to be a difficult match for Hewitt.
This has been a Fox Sports presentation.